In 2017, Ghost Recon made the leap to an open world space in Ghost Recon Wildlands, a gamble that paid off for Ubisoft, with the title being among the best-selling games of 2017. So naturally, the French-based publisher is building upon the success of Wildlands with a direct follow-up known as Breakpoint. Is the game on point, or will it break your heart?
You're not his tennis instructor.
Ghost Recon Breakpoint takes place 4 years after the conclusion of Wildlands. You play as Nomad, a soldier sent to investigate an island that's been taken over by a private army. The game kicks off with a bombastic introduction, but the narrative quickly goes downhill with subpar cutscenes peppered with uninteresting characters. For a game that sports the name of a celebrated novelist, it forgets the most critical aspect of any great novel: good writing. Voice acting is at least serviceable, with acclaimed actor Jon Bernthal taking on the role of the game's antagonist.
Oops.
Before you're unleashed into the world of Breakpoint, you get to create your own avatar, but the amount of customization options is rather limited. The core game is very much akin to Wildlands. You can be a lone wolf or team up with friends as you infiltrate bases and collect intel. Ideally, you should take the stealth approach since alerting the enemy results in being overwhelmed with reinforcements. Despite my better judgment, I took the latter approach since me and my friends have the instincts of hedgehogs inside a bag. The game's stealth and shooting mechanics are extremely satisfying. When teaming up with friends, clearing out an enemy stronghold can be really gratifying, and in small doses the game can be a ton of fun. But it doesn't take long for the repetitive mission design to sink in. The game's world is also surprisingly empty, with not much in the way of unique landmarks or interesting NPCs. Alongside the game's disappointing narrative and lack of world building, the repetitive gameplay can turn the experience into a tedious grind, especially with the conclusion taking 20 hours to reach. The game also features a PvP mode, and I didn't encounter any lag during skirmishes.
Enemies down. Good kill.
Breakpoint differentiates itself from Wildlands with an emphasis on loot and survival mechanics, although the gear levels can be misleading with lower tier items with a legendary status, sometimes yielding better results. A well-placed headshot can take out most enemies in a single hit, regardless of the weapon's power level. It's only when facing drones and vehicles when more powerful weapons come into play. But if the film wrongfully accuses taught us anything, trains are the deadliest foes and will take you out in a single hit. Meanwhile, the survival mechanics boil down to a stamina meter that dictates your ability to run, and injuries that make you lose a health bar and can be resolved by performing first aid. It's obvious the game's interface was designed primarily for mouse and keyboard, with console users treated as an afterthought. When using a controller, the menu navigation feels clumsy at best and is compounded by the need to hold down buttons when making your selection. This proves to be annoying when selling loot, and given the game's emphasis on collecting loot, you'll be selling a lot of it. Logically, you should be able to select everything in a pinch and sell it, right? No, you need to hold down the X button for 3 seconds for every single item you want to sell. No exaggeration, I once spent over 15 minutes making the inputs to sell my excess gear. How this wasn't caught during playtesting is beyond me.
Oops.
The most controversial design choices are no doubt the game's aggressive monetization and Ubisoft's decision to mandate an online connection. If your internet connection on the game's server drops out for a split second, you will be booted back to the title screen and lose valuable progress. This happened to me on numerous occasions and the servers went down completely, much to the chagrin of players around the world.
Oops.
Humorously, one of the online error messages said whalers, which I guess sums up Ubisoft's monetization, and unsurprisingly, Breakpoint is packed to the rafters with microtransactions. Players can spend real money to obtain Ghost Points, a premium currency that can be exchanged for in-game skill credits or purchase items outright. Whether it's cosmetic or gameplay related, any microtransactions in a game that isn't free to play is unacceptable to me. Also, we should stop calling them microtransactions since a $120 tier is far from being micro. Since Breakpoint is an Ubisoft game, bugs and glitches are plenty. My character would get stuck on slopes and enemies kept doing this weird thing where they couldn't stop running into walls. The scope of my gun would sometimes flicker and a few sound effects would stop working altogether. One instance, I couldn't use a fast travel point because the game thought I was engaging enemies when I wasn't. I had to log out and back in to rectify this problem. I guess quality assurance is never among Ubisoft's priorities.
Oops.
One area where the game succeeds is graphics. Breakpoint's lush vistas and bright colors are easy on the eyes. The footage you're watching is taken from the Xbox One X version running at 4K. Owners of Microsoft's premium system get a choice of two different visual profiles, one that prioritizes resolution while the other pushes graphics fidelity. If you opt for resolution, the game maintains a 4K output, while graphics fidelity increases the LODs and draw distance, but employs a dynamic 4K image to help maintain a steady frame rate. Speaking of frame rate, the game targets 30 FPS and managed to stick relatively close to its target, with the frame rate only dipping on a few occasions. The music on the other hand sounds generic, with none of the tracks resonating with yours truly. Drawing a concrete conclusion for Ghost Recon Breakpoint has been difficult. The core engine is extremely solid and there is some fun to be had, especially when you team up with friends. But a collection of bugs and design choices can hinder the experience. The microtransactions and mandatory online connection doesn't help either. Ghost Recon feels like a white product. It gets the job done, but it lacks soul. As we enter the busy holiday season with a new game coming out almost every single day, it's hard to recommend playing white goods over games made with the passion that's missing from Ghost Recon.
Oops.